this is UKGN Network and I'm Zoidberg, back with another top 5 games of the month. Brooktober has once again struck, thanks to another autumn month filled with top quality games demanding that our wallets get emptied. We've played over 30 brand new games this month, whether they were returning blockbuster franchises, new indie oddities, one of the many horror games arriving just in time for Halloween, or just part of the arrival of VR on consoles. Whittling them down to the 5 best has meant some top quality titles have missed out, including World of Final Fantasy, which we just haven't had the time to play properly due to our pre-order not arriving. Fortunately, we don't count re-releases either, or it would have been even more difficult with the returning likes of Skyrim, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Eve Valkyrie and Duke Nukem that would have all had to be considered too. So let's stop the waffle, and here's our top 5 games of October 2016.
Number 5.
Back in April we featured Pang Adventures in our top 5, stating that it was an excellent updating of the arcade classic. Now, only a few months later, along comes The Bug Butcher, which takes its inspiration from the Pang series, but then adds its own spin. Instead of bursting bubbles, you'll be shooting aliens, and each has its own attack pattern to learn. It only takes a couple of levels to introduce each, and by the game's latter stages it's throwing so many at you at once that lightning reflexes are required. Thanks to the visuals that make each alien instantly recognisable by colour alone, it never gets confusing. Add to this the extremely tight time limits for each level, and you have a game that's both frustratingly addictive and challenging. Trying to earn 3 stars on every level will probably keep you busy for months, and even if it doesn't, there's the fantastic co-op play option that will.
Number 4.
Welcome. Suit up sequence initiated.
One of the best things that Sony have done with the launch of PlayStation VR is to ensure that there are plenty of lower price games available. Tumble VR almost made the list, but how could we avoid mentioning a game that turns you into a superhero for just £15? Early on in Arkham VR, there's a sequence where you suit up and then look into a mirror. The joy you'll feel at having Batman wave back at you and match your every move is indescribable. You are Batman, and you won't want that moment to end. Rocksteady have perfectly captured the world of Gotham City before with the Arkham trilogy, and this fleshes out that world even more. It may only take a couple of hours to play through the whole thing on your first go, but there's enough secrets and Riddler puzzles to solve to keep you coming back time and again. It's also the game that you'll want in your collection in order to show off PlayStation VR to your friends.
Calibration routine. Calibrating.
Number 3.
Destroy all enemy forces in this sector.
If Battlezone had just been an arcade-style arena shooter, it would still have been one of the best launch games for the PlayStation VR. What we weren't expecting though was for it to also be a deep and varied roguelike too, and that's what's propelled it into the top 5. It's just what you always imagined the tank combat in Tron would look and feel like, with an excellent style and action that isn't so fast it makes you want to throw up. After choosing how long you want to play for, each game is divided into a grid that you must make your way across, with a nice variety of zones changing the required style of gameplay. Lose all of your lives and the grid resets itself, and you have to begin all over again, with only your collected stash and the knowledge of what you did wrong. It's the type of game you'll return to time and again, learning a little bit more each time, and that's before we even mention the online multiplayer.
Number 2.
It's been a truly fantastic month for first-person shooters, and at one time or another we've had both Shadow Warrior 2 and Battlefield 1 in the top 5. However, with 3 days of the month remaining, along came Titanfall 2 and crushed everything else under its mechanised feet. The biggest criticism levelled at the first game was the lack of a single-player mode, and Respawn have answered that with one of the most enjoyable, varied and exciting campaign modes in recent memory. It may only be 6 hours long, but it's a fantastic 6 hours. Add to that the superb multiplayer that improves on the first game, with a great new selection of Titans, and you have a package that's easily one of the best shooters of the year. The icing on the cake, however, was the announcement that there's no season pass, and all the maps and modes will be free to download for everyone. It's almost as if EA want us to like them, as well as buy their games.
Number 1.
After the mild disappointment of Civilization V, Firaxis Games have returned with easily the best game in the series to date. It's complex without being complicated, and different enough from previous entries to feel fresh without changing that core Civ feeling. There's a huge variety of gameplay styles available, depending on which nation you decide to take control of, and obtaining success through diplomatic, religious or military means are all just as viable as each other. It's fantastic to see your cities expand and thrive rather than just occupy a single space on the map. Having Sean Bean voice one of the key characters also gives the game a reassuring air of quality, even if it does occasionally make the game sound like it's trying to sell you a new mobile phone contract. One does not simply emulate the Civilization series, as many other developers have tried, and this latest entry proves that there's no substitute for the real thing. We hope you enjoyed this countdown of our favourite games of October. Tell us what you think in the comments, and perhaps watch some of our previous countdowns if you like this one. We'll be back next month with a look at November's best games, and what looks like it could be another packed month. We are UK Gaming Network. Bye for now.